Welcome to my read aloud of Almost a Woman by Esmeralda Santiago. Chapter 1. Martes, ni te cases ni te embarques, ni de tu familia te apartes. In the 21 years I lived with my mother, we moved at least 20 times. We stuffed our belongings into ragged suitcases, boxes with bold advertising on the sides, pillowcases, empty rice sacks, cracker tins that smelled of flour and yeast. Whatever we couldn't carry, we left behind. Dressers with missing drawers, refrigerators, lumpy sofas, the 15 canvases I painted one summer. We learned not to attach value to possessions because they were temporary as the walls that held us for a few months. As the neighbors who lived down the street, as the sad-eyed boy who loved me when I was 13. We moved from country to city, to country to small town, to big city, to the biggest city of all. Once in New York, we moved from apartment to apartment in search of heat, of fewer cockroaches, of more rooms, of quieter neighbors, of more privacy, of nearness to the subway or relatives. We moved in loops around the neighborhoods we wanted to avoid, where there were no Puerto Ricans, where graffiti warned of gang turfs, where people dressed better than we did, where landlords didn't accept welfare, or didn't like Puerto Ricans, or looked at our family of 3 adults, 11 children, and shook their heads. We avoided the neighborhoods with too few stores, or too many stores, or the wrong kind of store, or no stores at all. We circled around our first apartment the way animals circle the place where they will sleep. And after 10 years of circling, Mommy returned to where we began the journey, to Macun, the Puerto Rico barrio where everyone knew each other and each other's business, where what we left behind was put to good use by people who moved around less. By the time she returned to Macun, I'd also moved. 4 days after my 21st birthday, I left Mommy's house. The rhyme I sang as a child forgotten. Martes, ni te cases, ni te embarques, ni de tu familia te apartes. On a misty Tuesday, I didn't marry, but I did travel, and I did leave my family. I stuffed in the mailbox a letter addressed to Mommy, in which I said goodbye, because I didn't have the courage to say goodbye in person. I went to Florida to begin my own journey from one city to another. Each time I packed my belongings, I left a little of myself in the rooms that sheltered me. Never home, always just the places I lived. I congratulated myself on how easy it was to leave them, how well I packed everything I owned into a couple of boxes and a suitcase. Years later, when I visited Macun, I went to the spot where my childhood began and ended. I stepped on what was left of our blue-tiled floor and looked at the wild greenness around me, at what had been a yard for games, at the corner where an eggplant bush became a Christmas tree, at the spot where I cut my foot and blood seeped into the dust. It was no longer familiar nor beautiful, nor did it give a clue of who I'd been there, or who I might become wherever I was going next. The morivivir weeds and the culantro choked the dirt yard. Creepers had overgrown the cement floor. Pinacoop climbed over what was left of the walls and turned them into soft green mounds that sheltered drab olive lizards and chameleons, coqui and hummingbirds. There was no sign we'd ever been there, except for the hillock of blue cement tile on which I stood. It gleamed in the afternoon sun, its color so intense that I wondered if I had stepped onto the wrong floor, because I didn't remember our floor being that blue.